everybody, welcome back. We're doing another Pauper Paradise. We've got a deck tech, it's Mike, and we've got Dash, and we've got a Dash special. We've got Rakdos or red-black midrange. So Dash, kind of take it away. What do we got going on here? What's the game plan?
All right, well, I guess we can call it Rakdos. But as you look at this deck, you might notice it's kind of really black heavy. So it's kind of splash a little bit of red here for various things. First off, I'll go into the black later, but first off, we have 4 lightning bolts.
Okay.
I didn't think 3 was a good number. I like 4. That's a good number. I was been using 4 since the beginning of time, and 4's done me well. So.
Yeah, it looks like we've got 7 red cards, not including sideboard, 7 red cards total. Well, I guess so 10 total red cards. We've got 4 bolts, 3 Blightnings, and 3 Terminates.
Right.
Obviously, we know bolts pretty good, but why we decided on 3 and 3 for Blightning and Terminate.
Well, at first I was running 4 Terminates, and it just seemed like it was a little bit too much with my, it doesn't really do damage, which is kind of the ultimate goal here, to do damage. Lightning Bolt does, Blightning does. Terminate doesn't. It's a really good removal card, but I think 3 is the right number.
Okay.
Also, Blightning, it's one of the things that black and red can't really do against blue and other colors is, get those 2-for-1s, and I think Blightning is... It's almost a 3-for-1. You get rid of 2 cards in their hand, and you get to nail them for 3.
Nice.
So not always affecting the board, but it puts your opponent in a kind of a awkward spot sometimes, and it's one after another. Blightning can mean the difference of a game.
Yeah, it looks like you've got a bunch of relatively cheap spells, and then we've got top end like Gurmag Angler, and Sultai Scavenger.
So what the goal of this deck is to early game to just neutralize the board and get your opponent in a position where they're out of cards or out of creatures, and all of a sudden you just drop a huge Gurmag Angler or Sultai Scavenger. Thorn of the Black Rose is an interesting card. It's a 1-of.
I was going to say we've got a 1 spicy card.
It does draw a card because it allows you to become the Monarch right away. And so for everyone that doesn't know about becoming the Monarch, as soon as someone becomes the Monarch, Monarchy will be in the game for the rest of the game. And whoever has Monarch will they get to draw a card at the end of the turn. And for someone to take Monarchy from them, they have to attack them or do combat damage. So basically,
but you just want to basically kill all of their creatures and then destroy their hand.
Right? Yeah.
Yeah. You're playing things like obviously Blightning. Chainer's Edict gets your kind of catch-all, and you're playing him to Tourach because you don't like people having fun.
I don't like people having fun.
No.
I don't like cards in hands. I don't like having to ask people how many cards are in their hand. I like knowing that it's
just
none.
Knowing that it's 0.
Yeah.
Okay.
So back to Thorn of the Black Rose. Having Monarchy is good. It allows me to draw a card right off the bat. And hopefully there's no creatures that it's going to take away my Monarchy.
Okay.
It's also a 1/3 death touch, so if there is a creature, kind of stand in the way of anything that doesn't fly. So
okay. One of the interesting things that, as I was looking through, that I wanted to take a look at is we're actually playing 4 Dross Golem. Can you tell me a little bit more about this guy?
Well, this guy is at first look he might not seem like he's a good fit, but this guy is. He's bonkers. I really don't have too many non-swamp sources.
So it's a 3/2 for 5. It's a 3/2 artifact golem for 5 generic mana.
Right.
It's got affinity for swamps and fear.
Fear, right. So fear can't be blocked by artifact creatures or black creatures, which is kind of weird because it's not a black creature. But anyway, so so basically he comes down. I was going to say that I don't have too many non-swamp lands in here.
We've got 4 Ash Barrens, 4 Bloodfell Caves, and 2 mountains.
Right. The 2 mountains that I can search for with the 4 Ash Barrens, I'm mainly searching for swamps, but off the off chance I need that 1 red, I work off just 1 red. 4 Bloodfell Caves. Other than that, I'm just getting mountains.
Yeah, just being able to gain some land. Because most times, if you're playing any 2-color deck, you're going to be playing with the bounce lands from the Ravnica block.
Right.
That we've seen in a couple Modern Masters sets. But you're neglecting to kind of go a much more basic route. And how often, what's the cheapest you've been able to play a Dross Golem for? Have you been able to just drop it for free because you've had 5 swamps?
Yeah. What's the shape of a donut? So
okay.
Yeah. On average, he costs 2 black, just 2 because I have 2 mana probably. he doesn't always come out that fast, but when I do drop him and I'm allowed to play something else because of his affinity drops him to like 1 or 2 mana, he is awesome. He's a 3/2 fear. Most creatures, I'd say upwards of 90% of the creatures can't block him in the format.
Nice.
You know, he just he's awesome. He's another bridge I can play until he's not going to be as powerful as the fish per se, because the fish is a 5/5 that comes down for a lot of times 3/2 mana.
Yeah.
But
late game just one.
I don't have to worry about my resources when I play this guy. I have to worry about how many swamps I have. Really.
Nice. And then I guess the one last spicy thing in the main deck that we don't see too often, Consume Spirit. Tell me a little bit about this inclusion.
Well, it's kind of a slow card, but it does exactly what I want it to do when I want it.
Just for our viewers that don't know, so it's Consume Spirit. It's a sorcery. It's X1 and a black. And you can spend only black mana on X, but when you do, Consume Spirit deals X damage to target creature or player, and you gain X life.
Right. So it's a Drain Life spell. It's actually a fixed version of Drain Life. So, a lot of times in these black and red decks, it's kind of hard to gain life, and if you have taken a kind of a brunt of creature attacks before you neutralize the board, you might be below 10 life or something, and also, by that time, I could have like 6-7 mana, mostly black. And
exactly. I was going to say, it's black fireball almost.
And after doing a lot of Blightnings, lightning bolts and stuff, hopefully my opponent's life is low, and I wanted to kind of, bridge that gap and, make it more my game, so to speak. So I can hit creatures with it, or I could just straight hit players with it right in the face. People a lot of times don't see it coming. It is a slow card, but I could use it turn 3-4 to hit a creature, or turn 5-6 to just do a lot of damage.
Nice.
So.
Yeah, I mean, I could see, maybe you get a hit in with a Gurmag Angler, maybe with the Dross Golem, and then maybe a couple lightning bolts and Blightnings, and, they're down to 7 or 8 life, and they just don't expect to Consume Spirit for game at that point.
Right, yeah. And, doing damage early on in the game with Blightning, and maybe a couple hits with the Dross Golems, could have their life to a point where that's going to really affect the game. And, threatening to do X damage, upwards of 7 or so damage right to the face could seal the deal. So
nice.
Yeah.
Well, so I think we kind of have an idea of like this mid-range strategy. You kind of want to choke them on their resources, namely their hand, and then play a bigger evasive creature, just a big creature on the cheap. Throughout the game, and maybe finish them off with a couple of burn spells or a Consume Spirit or just creature beats. But let's address some of the matches you might have some problems with in the sideboard. Let's walk through some of the choices you've made.
All right. Well, playing a deck that doesn't have too many creatures, it's kind of weakness to maybe blue-black control with Chainer's Edicts or something.
Yeah.
So in my sideboard, I definitely always have the
Pyroblast.
The handy 3 of Pyroblast.
Yep.
Yeah, can't go
that
wrong
spell's
with
so good.
the red
1 mana, just counter spell.
Yeah. So decks that have value, like Muldrifter decks and stuff.
Yeah, plus it's a removal spell against a lot of those blue decks. I like it.
Pretty much blue decks I'm gonna have the most trouble with. There is a problem with green decks, really fast ones off the gate. But I think as I get to the later rounds, I think I have a problem with the decks that do definitely draw. They'll outdraw me.
They're just like, because, you're kind of playing the mid-range control strategy, but you don't have any card draw besides like 2 Night Whispers.
Yeah, just 2.
You're just trying to choke them on their resources and play a big fatty.
Yeah. 2 Night Whispers, that's pretty much it. The other advantage that I have really is just Hymn to Tourach, but a lot of times that might not work if... if I totally miss on the randomness of it, or if I just draw it at the wrong time and they have their boards full of everything they need, Hymn to Tourach's not going to do it. So I had to really just watch myself and not get outvalued here against these blue decks. Yeah. Also, it's a counterspell can be a problem, especially when you're exiling your graveyard for a big
Angler. Yeah.
So it's if you want to hold an extra red up just to protect it, thinking that maybe a like a counterspell or just another blue problematic card who's going to hit it. It says blue permanent too, so that's always cool when you can hit Muldrifter or something.
Yeah, nice.
So or an early Delver, whatever. So that's what I bring in for that. Looks like we have the 4 of Smash the Smithereens.
Yep. Yeah.
So
we've seen a fair amount of the Affinity and
Right.
the Boros type decks that play a lot of artifacts.
Yeah, and we've said it before, a really early Mirror Enforcer and Frogmite combination can be a problem. So also it does 3 damage. I choose Smash to Smithereens over other cards like Smelt because this adds damage to it.
Yeah.
So it's basically like the value that this deck might not have, but now it has.
Yeah,
So-
exactly. That seems, pretty good. Removal spell plus bolt seems really good. Even that it costs the 1 extra mana.
Yep.
I'm actually interested about the Faerie Macabres. What are those? What are you looking at those for?
Well, things that come back from the graveyard is just another way of getting value and that can outvalue me. So I'm scared of things like undying creatures.
Oh yeah, that's pretty good.
Rancor.
Trigger on the stack.
So if I could actually somehow make them sacrifice a creature with, let's say, Chainer's Edict or Lightning Bolt, or let's say they have a Rancor on their Young Wolf. And so the Young Wolf
tag
and the Rancor,
both of them. Oh, that
tag
sounds
2
like
for
the
1.
dream.
Also, in a pinch, I can throw it down as a 2/2 flyer and turn them sideways to do 2 damage. So.
Yeah. Plus, I guess it doesn't exile itself, so it's a little bit more fodder for your delve spells.
Yes, he's Delve Fodder. Sultai Scavenger and Gurmag Angler like to eat fairies, so to speak. So that's all cool.
And
Also,
the last. Well, yeah. This one's a little spicy one. We're gonna save that one for last.
we'll save it.
So
For last.
Arc Lightning as well. I like that. That art is super sick.
Well, Arc Lightning is kind of a different choice. Yeah, so really sweet art on that too. Aside from the art being really sweet, I chose this card over Electrickery because
it's 2 in a red for a sorcery, right? And you deal 3 damage divided amongst any number of creatures or players.
Basically, any number of targets. Yes.
Target creature or players.
Players.
Okay.
Yes. So, Electrickery, while it is an instant, this is a sorcery. While Electrickery is an instant and is cheaper, and can potentially hit more creatures, this has the option to do 3 damage to the player, or 1 damage to a creature and 2 to a player. So it's...
Or vice versa. So, like, say they have a Chittering Rats, you wouldn't be able to kill the Chittering Rats with Electrickery.
Yeah, because I only need Chittering Rats out. I don't like Chittering Rats. When
exactly.
they play them right. So 3 of them, it just adds another option. It is a little bit more expensive, but come turn 3, as you can see with Blightning, Dross Golem, that's when I start to turn the tide and start doing damage.
Okay, that makes sense.
Yeah, so this card can be a blowout actually. So I mean, it can be a mini Wrath of God one-sided, or it can be just a top deck. You need a Lightning Bolt to win.
Yeah, I feel like you've got the kind of removal suite that you've got. We're looking at 2 Chainer's Edicts, 4 Bolts, 3 Terminates. Consume Spirit if you want to consider it that. But you've also got like so much hand control. You've got multiple Duresses. Obviously, Blightnings just rips out your opponent's hand. Him to Tourach can just win the game on the spot sometimes when you cast it. I feel like you're doing a good job of controlling the battlefield, and they just might not even have the ability to play 4 creatures, 4 X1s.
Right. But
if Arc Lightning kills 3 things, then you're probably more than good. Or even just 2 things and hits them for 1.
Yeah, exactly. Some of the if I do get to a top deck mode with an opponent and they do happen to top deck a card that can net them 3 1/1s or something, and I can sit back on that card and just have a little bit more insurance for that, like it's going to do the job. Also, if they don't top deck that card, it could threaten, bringing them 3 damage closer to the victory. So,
that makes sense.
Yeah.
That makes sense. So now the one card in the sideboard, I guess 2 cards that we kind of glossed over to save the best for last, if you will. Spinning Darkness, a 6-drop. A 6-drop instant, 4 black. What is this?
Okay,
madness?
well, basically it's a deal 3 to a non-black creature, gain 3. It costs 6. It's an instant. It's very expensive. However, the kicker is you may remove the top 3 black cards in your graveyard from the game instead of paying for its casting cost. So, like I said, maybe just another way to gain life. It does have a little bit of interference with my anglers, but sometimes I do find myself taking them out because they're too slow. And I start duressing really early. I just start dumping cards in my graveyard. It does kind of hurt because it is black, but I know that being able to do basically what would you call it? A lightning helix to only non-black creatures.
Yeah.
For when you're tapped
Some of
out.
those like super aggressive, there's the
Yeah.
Delver decks, or maybe like the mono red decks, or even
Right.
mono green has some
Yeah.
aggressive variants. Like sometimes you just need to gain that life to be able to stabilize.
I think you just nailed it. Delver decks. If I have to tap out to do like a Hymn to Tourach, and I need to hit that Delver and gain that 3 life on an early rush from a Delver deck, this is what it's for. Also, it's kind of a surprise factor to it. I notice when I do take out my anglers and my scavenger, my graveyard fills up, and I need to. Well, I don't really need to, but I want to use that last resource as much as I can, because when it comes down to it, I don't want, this deck can get outvalued. So my sideboard is there to give me protection against that, and every way I can, which is using every card in your graveyard, be it 3 top black cards, very specific non-black
Just
creatures.
delving away a bunch of stuff.
Yeah, I noticed that doing 3 to a creature and gaining 3 while you're tapped out can mean the difference of a game or not. So
Nice.
It is kind of a questionable card. I could fill it with a lot of different spots, but my heart is stuck on Spinning Darkness. I know it sounds kind of weird, but yeah.
Awesome. So what's the kind of matchup you want to see? And we obviously went over ones that you don't want to see. Some of those blue control value type decks.
Yeah.
Well, what's maybe something you wouldn't mind seeing?
I wouldn't probably mind seeing a kind of a mid-rangey, maybe white deck.
Yeah, I'm feeling like you just beat up on the mid range decks.
Right.
You just like something that needs to establish itself early. Besides maybe like the strict hard control decks,
Right.
Like anything mid range, I feel you're just like, sure, come at me.
Yeah, probably like blue-red spells I wouldn't want to go against, because I think in the end it would probably outvalue me, because it doesn't have a lot of creatures for my early targets, so it takes that away from me, and it probably has answers waiting for my fish when I do have it.
Yeah.
So something like that, but I'm probably pretty good against, I've noticed that I'm pretty good against decks like the Red-Green Madness deck, or, even other black decks that just come against me that try to go past turn 2 or 3 and play like larger creatures. Also, if I get a good foothold on those green decks, those fast aggro decks, I'm doing pretty well.
Nice.
Any kind of Boggles deck that comes against me, I might have an issue with if I don't get an early Chainer's Edict. That might be an issue, but I also I know that some of those decks tend to play some blue spells, so I have those in my sideboard.
Yep.
I just got to outrace them, and hopefully they don't get the lifelink on me.
Well, hey, they won't be able to block Dross Golem.
They won't,
like
and
that.
so he's there. I don't think. I think there's really no decks that I super strong against or super weak against. I kind of geared it to not be particularly strong against one certain deck, but be kind of able to deal with all particular kinds.
So
of
you're
decks.
the Jund of Pauper.
The Jund of Pauper, yeah. So.
Okay.
But you don't see any green.
Yeah,
there,
there's just
so.
no green. Well, shoot, that's awesome, and I hope to be seeing this in one of our next events. Just jamming Rakdos Midrange.
Rakdos Midrange.
Yeah.
Awesome.
All right. Well, thanks for watching. We'll have the deck list down below in the comments, and you'll be able to see it up on the side. This was Pauper Paradise. This was Mike, and we've got Dash here, and we'll be seeing you next time. See ya.